All right, so today I want to show you how to fill a syringe if you need to give a shot. Most animal medications are given injectable, and the reason is because they don't like to swallow pills, and other things don't necessarily absorb as well. So this makes sure that the animal is getting all of the medication that they need. So before we go, we have some supplies here. So this is called a vial of medicine. I happen to be holding, this is just an antibiotic. And then I have a syringe and a needle. And both of these items are one-time use is how they're designed. These are both sterile when they're packaged, so they'll be clean for giving injections in the most safe possible way. So the most ideal way to do this is to open them carefully. Sometimes on the farm we don't do it exactly perfectly, but I'll show you the way that it's supposed to be done. So you notice that the side that you open is near the plunger. So I'll open that, and I'm not going to touch any of this. And then what I'm going to do, the needle is also inside here. So this end, I'm holding the cap. I'm going to give it a little twist and remove the cap. This is called a lure lock syringe, which just means that it twists in there so that it stays. And now the needle's still enclosed in this, and I haven't touched anything that'll actually be inside the animal. So we're assuming that you've already read the directions and you know the correct dose and that it's for the correct animal that you're going to be giving it, all of those kinds of things. And then what you're going to do, if this needs to be shaken, you might first do that. Most of them probably don't, but some do. You're going to turn this bottle upside down. It has a rubber stopper here, and we're going to be putting the needle through the rubber stopper. Some of them say use entire contents when first opened, and the reason is because every time you put a needle through that rubber stopper, you're potentially infecting this bottle with something external. So you might see people sort of clean off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol or something the top of this. Again, on a farm, that's not necessarily something we would do, but just something to be aware of when you're doing this kind of thing. So you're going to turn it upside down so that the liquid fills this entire area. I'm going to take the lid off here, being careful not to touch the needle. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in some air. So in this case, we're going to say I want to make a 4 cc dose. Okay. It's going to be where the black plunger is closest to the needle, not down here, this part here. So there's little grid marks on the side, and you'll pull it down to 4. And I'm going to put the needle through the rubber stopper. And you have to assume inside of here is designed to be a vacuum so that it's not got any sort of bacteria or anything inside of it. So I'm injecting air into the bottle. As soon as you've injected air, now there's space. And a lot of times when you let go of this, you'll actually get some filling on its own because now it's pressurized air that comes into the syringe. So I'm going to draw back the plunger until I get to my 4 milliliters of medication. And you can see, if you look carefully right here, that there's a bubble of air. And a lot of people talk about the dangers of injecting air into an animal. Really, I had a veterinarian tell me one time that she was willing to inject an entire syringe full of air into an animal's vein, and she said it's not as much of an issue as people talk about. But what this is because we're dealing with such a small volume of medication in here, it's not a correct dose. So we're going to flick the side of it, and what that does is it just detaches the bubble from the side, and then I'm going to inject the air bubble back into my vial and carefully go down to exactly the right hash mark on the side of the syringe. And now I can see there's no air bubbles inside there. Once there's no air bubbles inside there, I can withdraw my syringe and I'm done with my vial. And before I go and get the animal, I'm going to put the lid back on for safety. Then it's important that we know that when you dispose of these, that you never dispose of them just in the normal garbage can, because it would be horrible if the garbage man was accidentally injected with something that was potentially dangerous, or anything like that. They make syringe disposal sharps containers, and you can buy them from a lot of different places where you get medical supplies. And then when you have one that's full of the waste needles, you can just take them to the veterinarian or to the hospital or the pharmacy, and they can help you dispose of them. That's how to fill a syringe.